Toxic people love to use the look as a passive-aggressive behavior because it's fast, sometimes so fast that no one else notices it but you. But it's powerful enough that the victim often changes their emotional state. They come out of that place of feeling so good, so comfortable in their own skin, and they're left hypervigilant and confused. In this video, I'm going to give you 7 more covert passive-aggressive behaviors that most often fly under the radar. Number 2 is the mood. Toxic people will often carry around with them a hostile attitude. They may not be saying anything, but they're giving off this vibe of anger, of hostility, of frustration. And what happens is when you're not aware that this is a passive-aggressive behavior, and since passive-aggressive people wind up normally pairing up with codependents and or empaths, the partner in the relationship will often mistakenly feel like somehow this mood that the toxic person is exhibiting is their fault and their responsibility. And that sullen attitude spreads to the other person like poison ivy. So what's awful about this is it has the ability to extinguish your positive vibes, your happy demeanor, and you take on this sullen attitude, the responsibility for it, and then when you're in the same exact state as the toxic person, they turn around and say, "Why are you in such a bad mood? Why are you always so negative? You're such a black cloud. You bring everyone down." And they blame you for being exactly what they were being and spreading to the whole family. Number 3 is intentional mistakes. In my face-to-face coaching, I've had clients tell me, "Michelle, honestly, I don't think he or she is doing it on purpose. I think they're just dumb." Or I think they just don't get it. Like they don't have the capacity to understand exactly what I'm asking from them. But the truth is that often toxic people will say they will do something because you've asked, but they're angry that you asked them. You asked them. They're up here and you're asking them to do something. That kind of throws them off because they're the ones that like to be the one asking everyone to do for them. So they will either do the job halfway or they'll outright do an awful job of it. And what they're really hoping is that you learn on an unconscious level to not ask anything from them. Number 4 is a well-known passive-aggressive behavior by toxic people, and that is the silent treatment. It's like emotional torture. Usually toxic people will give the silent treatment when they've done something wrong, they've acted in a horrible, unkind, unloving way, and you have pointed that out to them. And instead of taking responsibility for their actions or their behaviors, they punish you for trying to make them be responsible for their behaviors. Living with somebody that is treating you as if you are dead, it is extremely damaging emotionally. And so what happens is they prolong it to the point that you are so desperate for reconciliation. When they finally grant you access to them and they actually start communicating with you again, you're so happy to not be treated as if you are dead that whatever caused the disagreement in the first place never gets addressed, which is what they want. It's swept under the rug, and unfortunately because of that, the cycle continues on and on. Number 5 is gossip, and this often happens in the workplace, but it can also happen in families as well. Gossip is a form of passive-aggressive behavior because the person is speaking about an individual in a setting where that individual cannot defend themselves. So are we good? I just want to make sure everything's okay between us. I just kind of sensed a vibe. Yeah, totally. We're fine. You're like one of my favorite people at this place. Awesome. Okay, I'll see you later. It could be outright speaking badly about the person or just planting little seeds of doubt so that the other person begins to look at the person being gossiped about. It also causes triangulation because now these two individuals that are being gossiped about and to wind up not speaking to each other. And so the toxic person is like the go-between, and no one ever gets to know the truth about what's really being said, what's really truth, because the toxic person is controlling everyone's communication. Number 6 is punctuality problems. Anyone that is co-parenting with a toxic person knows exactly what I'm talking about. You can have a parenting plan etched in stone, and the toxic person will always be late. The reason this bothers a person is because we like to be punctual as a way of being respectful of someone else's time. We realize that time is valuable, and we don't want to intentionally disrespect that. Well, toxic people view punctuality as a weapon. In every face-to-face coaching client that I've coached that is co-parenting or counter-parenting with a toxic person, there is not one that is punctual. So this is a very common passive-aggressive behavior of toxic people. To frustrate it even more, they never apologize, they never mention it, and they'll never give you a reason for it. And the second you bring it up as a problem, they make you sound and look unreasonable. And they love to do that in court. Number 7 is the ignore, not to be confused with the silent treatment. The silent treatment happens behind closed doors in your family arrangement. So maybe the only person that really knows that it's taking place are you, the toxic person, and if you have anyone in your immediate family that lives in the house. The ignore is done publicly, but it's done so covert that other people don't notice. I used to be amazed and think, doesn't anyone notice that the toxic people in my life could be with me and not even say one word to me for hours as if we were strangers? Doesn't anyone notice? It would blow my mind. But the reason they didn't notice is because it's not overtly done. It's not overtly done enough so that people feel awkward. So what happens is normally the toxic person is like love bombing everyone in the room, but you. Love bombing everyone, and so everyone is just amazed at this person, and they're just like, wow, this is such a great person. Most of the time, the person being ignored is trying to put on their best face. They're trying to not let this get to them. And here's the thing, here's what makes this so difficult and so passive-aggressive. It's not that the victim or the person that's being subjected to this behavior, it's not that they don't want the other person to talk and to socialize and to mingle with other people. That's not it. It's just that there's this underlying feeling that this is being done on purpose to hurt you. And when you try to mingle together with this person, especially if it's a significant other, and it's normal to mingle together at times, you separate, you mingle, and that significant other, it's like there's a wall and they won't let you in the conversation. They ignore you blatantly. You feel off. It doesn't feel good. It makes it so difficult to enjoy whatever social situation you're in because you're so aware of being left out. We are social creatures. We love to interact with each other, and being left out hurts. Toxic people know this. Now, here's the interesting thing that will happen. So what normally happens is they have this passive-aggressive behavior of leaving you out. Even if you try to join in a conversation that they're involved in, it's like somehow you never can get in there. So if you mention it later to the toxic person, they love that because now they know, and they have confirmation that it bothered you. And sadly, toxic people feed off of that. Not only do they have the confirmation that it bothered you, but they now make you feel as if you are unreasonable for even bringing it up. You actually look like the bad guy. They'll say something like, I can never be myself with other people when you're there. You're so clingy. You don't allow me to mingle. You're a jealous person. I can't go anywhere with you. You make everything so miserable. And so they twist it and turn it so that you seem like the bad guy. Those are very common passive-aggressive behaviors of toxic people. If you notice them in an individual and this is ringing true to you and you're like, oh my goodness, yes, that's exactly what's going on in my life. You're not imagining it, especially if it's coming up over and over and over again, and your gut instinct is telling you there's something wrong. But the individual in your life that's doing these behaviors is telling you this is normal, you're crazy, you're oversensitive, you're looking into things that aren't even there. Trust your gut instinct. And if you need help doing that, make sure to check out my video on how to strengthen your gut instinct. And if you're thinking, okay, yes, I'm dealing with that in my life, now what? Make sure you hit that bell icon and subscribe to my channel, because my next video is about how to outsmart passive-aggressive behavior by toxic people.